Learn how to plot a continuous trend line in Google Charts. In this lesson, we want to look at how you can create line graphs with Google Charts. And what exactly is a line graph? A line graph connects your data point with a solid path to show a clear continuous trend over time or scale. So let's look at how we can actually achieve this using Google Charts. If you look at my boilerplate code, I have included a link to the Chart.js CDN library as well as an empty ID with an ID of my chart and style. So having done this, I'll just move straight into the script tag and then we can start adding our code in order to make Google Charts to generate the kind of line graphs that we want in this example. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a call to the chart API. So call on Google Chat. So this by default is what Google provides. It's not something that you need to, you know, store on your memory and every time you try to remember it. So Google themselves make this available. So it's a way you make a call to their chat API. So let me just quickly set this up. Just look at it. You can as well check for it online actually. Then Google Charts. And this last part, which is the second part, is responsible for, you know, loading the drawing of the chart in the background. So it will run our function in form of a callback function. That is, it will run it on the background. So let's go ahead and make the function itself, draw charts. So inside this function, the first thing is let's set our data. And how do we set our data? So let's make a variable and let that variable hold our data. So let's call on the Google visualization function, which will translate an array to data table. Data table. And inside it, so I want to put, use our price and size to compare. Now we can set up the price. So let's say just something random, anything you can think of. 90, 10. I'm just picking these numbers randomly actually. 70, 54. One more thing. We do 90, 10. Okay, we already have 90, 10. And maybe let's do 99 again. So now that we have this, let's add other ones, 109. Let's also add 110 and 10. And let's also add 120, 11. So move to the next line and add 130 and 14. 140. Use 14. 150 and 15. So let's make it progressive then. So let me change this to 60, 70, 80. So now this is our data. I'm done with that. So having set our data, let's now go ahead and set our options as well. To set our options, so let's make a variable and call it option. And inside this, then we can set things like our title. House prices versus size. Then we set our h-axis, that is horizontal axis. So we want to add a title to that axis. And let's call that title square meters. Then our y-axis, our v-axis, that is vertical axis. Let's also give that one also a title and call it price in millions. So now that we have our option, it's now time for us to draw. So let's go ahead and draw the chart. So let's make a variable and call it chart, and then call the new Google constructor dot visualization dot. What do you want to draw? We want to draw a line chart. And so we can just go ahead and use document dot get element by ID to target our ID of my charts. So let's put this on a new line so that I'll be able to see everything that we need to see. Now that I have this, then let's go ahead, call on the chart variable, and then call on the draw and pass in your data as well as your options. And this way, you should see a line graph that is shown up on the screen. So if you look at what we have just actually did in this example, now you can see this const data, google.visualization.array to data table. This place, the Google chart will reach the first array, that is, it will read the price and the size as our column header. So once it does that, then the following arrays that follows it, which are what we have inside of these arrays, are what contains our coordinates. So the first number will be mapped to the horizontal axis, while the second number is going to be mapped to the vertical axis. So what does that mean? So this 50 will be mapped here, while the 7 will be mapped here. So that is how that part works. And then we also have our H axis and V axis that configure our grid axis, that is the horizontal axis and the vertical axis. So it allows us to add clear professional title directly underneath and alongside our data grid. And lastly, we have this new Google.visualization. So this selects the line chart drawing engine, prompting Google to connect each coordinate point sequentially. And that is why you can see what we have right here on the screen. And there's one more thing I forgot. So I want to add this legend and set it to the none. So let's see. Oh, sorry. Yes, this should actually work, but I omitted something. So it should be none in quotes. Legend. It's like this. Okay. So now you can see our chart just displayed crisply and clearly. So this is how you can actually create a line graph with the Google chart in JavaScript.